It's been another week of high stakes and high intensity. How do you reflect on the past week from Arsenal's perspective?
As an experience, it wasn't the best one. Obviously, a defeat in the league, a defeat in the Champions League, and now fully focused on the task that we have ahead of us with 6 games to go. We are a game behind City, and we're gonna go a real goal.
That next game is obviously Wolves away. How do you put that into context, given what's gone before?
Well, the context is clear that if we win, we are top of the league. That's the context. You need anything else to be motivated? You need anything else to go to that game with your mind clear and the purpose very, very clear? You have a problem.
And just finally, for me, the club announced some sad news today that the passing of Sijip Kwezik, their former chairman and a great stalwart of the club. Have you got any words that you'd like to say about him?
Well, obviously to his family, and very grateful. He was chairman when I was captain. It's a personal figure that it's very well respected and loved around the football club. He's done so many incredible things to keep evolving and progressing this football club with very integral and good values, and he needs to rest in peace now.
Go to Sia from TLP.
Hello.
So you've only lost 2 games this calendar year. You're 2 points off the top. Nothing is over until the last match, as you said. People love to highlight the negatives and talk about the lows, but these are the moments that you really learn how to succeed. How have you firsthand as manager seen the team psychologically grow and develop under your tenure here?
Well, obviously it's been a very intense journey. And when you took it at the top and you are fighting with such a level, you know that you're going to have to go through that. This job, this industry is constantly testing your resilience. It's constantly testing your ego. When things go well, when things don't go well, and you all the time have to be recycling that, and you have to be able to navigate and go through those moments in a natural way, understanding the context and looking at the positives. That's the best thing you can do, because that's the ones that really help learn and look forward.
I wanted to ask about Timber and his role.
Yeah.
So when he comes back, where do you primarily sort of see him playing? He's very versatile, can play on the right or the left. But where do you see his best attributes sort of shine when he wants to come back and fight for a starting place?
Both positions in precision. He played in both positions, right and left fullback. In relation to the game as well, the players that we have available, we will use it in different ways.
Finally, so you have 2 key players, obviously Saka, your captain Odegaard. When they're targeted by teams, it really does impact your overall style of play. How do you balance adapting the game when they're targeted so you can be a bit more unpredictable when you're building up your play, but also sticking true to your style and making sure they're individually taking risks and being different in their approach?
Well, I think they are constantly targeted. Our best player, like any other opponent, we always try to find ways and prepare the games to try to help them. If they do try to do certain things to stop us, to find other ways, other spaces, other play, other combinations. And this is a journey that we want to stop, because there's always something else that they try. You have to adapt it and make it work.
Thank you.
We'll go to George from BBC.
Mikel, hello. So can we get some team news, and in particular, is it too soon for Timber still, possibly?
Yeah, it is too soon. He's going to play a game with the under 23s, and after that we will see better where he is, how he felt. It looks really good in training, but it's that last biggest step that now we need to make it smaller and have the certainty that he's ready to go.
Anyone else? Everyone else okay?
The rest is all good.
Just in terms of the last 3 games you've had, very tricky opposition, Bayern and Villa. How does that compare to last season where you had a similar blip? Is this just that you played better teams, or is there anything in that you've looked at possibly?
It's what it is. We have to accept it. I think the 2 games, especially the Bayern one at home in the beginning, obviously it could have been very different. The Villa away, I reviewed 3 times. I think we were the better team. We should have won the game. We didn't. The second half, we paid the price for the chances that we gave them, basically, and we have to move from there. And now it's about showing. Well, I don't have to talk too much. It's now about showing against Wolves what we are made of, and turn the situation around, and the turnaround can look really, really positive for us.
If you don't win tomorrow, would you say that?
I don't think about that. I think about winning tomorrow.
Just so, but
That if there are many ifs that an if.
I know the
Sorry.
result at the moment. I know the week hasn't been good, but still across the season, you must feel like you are really closing the gap on the teams around you, and you've just not got to fall away like you did last year.
And it hasn't been good because of the results. But it's been very good in other experiences, in other situations that we've done really well. And who knows how good it's going to be for us, for Wolves, or to fight better for the Premier League. I don't know. Nobody knows.
Just one more, sorry. There's been a lot over the last 24 hours about the FA Cup and scrapping replays, and you've won the competition. Are you just, what's your thoughts as Arsenal have won it a lot, the most? Just as the manager of Arsenal, what's your thoughts on scrapping the replay and what the future looks like for the FA Cup?
Well, it's not. We cannot only look at that in an isolated way, but with the calendar year that we have in the next few seasons, obviously we have to take game out from the players. So I think it's a very good possibility.
Thank you. Brad from Talksport.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Well, just to follow on from that, there's been a lot of complaints from EFL clubs about, the FA Cup replays being scrapped next season. Do you sympathise with them?
I understand every point of view. At the end, mine is to protect our players. And when I looked at the amount of minutes and games that they played in the last 2 seasons with no breaks, they're going to have to play in the next 2 years. Sorry, that's not healthy for sure. So somewhere, and I'm not saying it has to be that, but somewhere, somehow, we have to reduce the calendar.
And looking at yourself and Arsenal, when you look at Liverpool, when Jurgen Klopp first took over, they had to endure a lot of disappointment. They got to the latter stages of major tournaments in Europe. They got to the latter stages of domestic trophies, and England didn't quite work out for them. And then look what they've gone on to achieve in the last few years and the amount of trophies they've won. When you look at that, do you feel like Arsenal are on a similar journey to what Liverpool were under Jurgen Klopp?
Well, you know that the better you become and the closer you are to fighting with the best teams that this league have ever had, not now, but in the history of the Premier League, you know what the margins are. And we've been at the top for many, many months in the last 24 months. And when you are there, there is only one way that you can go. Or two, you stay there or you go down. C'est fini. And there's only one winner. So you want to be in that mix, you have to cope with any situation that comes attached to that. Because if not, everything is a disappointment. But you want to be for not being in the Champions League for 7 years, to fight for the league 2 years in a row, send me a team that is on that.
When you look at the squad, people have made a lot, but maybe the likes of Fabio Vieira and Nelson Ferro haven't started as many games as they would have liked this season. Do you have any regrets at the fact that you might not have given people like them more opportunities this season?
It is a possibility. That's always going to come when you lose a game, because when we beat Brighton and we had an unbelievable week and everybody was talking about us winning the league, nobody asked these questions, but that's part of our industry.
And lastly, a quick one on Wolves. What you made of the job that Gary O'Neill has done?
Unbelievable. So good. And you can tell how well they are coached, the spirit of the team, the difficulties that they create against every opponent. Really good side. It will be really tough tomorrow, but we have prepared really good in the last 2 days. We had a great training session today. Looking forward to it again.
That's great. Best of luck tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm just looking at April as a month, going back over seasons. I think that's where, people may say that Arsenal seasons have kind of derailed. But for you, would you say people saying that's a physical or mental fatigue, is that a too easy a conclusion to come to? And for you internally, how do you kind of recognize what goes a little bit wrong in those periods?
Well, a lot of times, because the margins and the things that you are competing with are decided between that month and May, but before that you have to be 9 months extremely consistent to that. And let's see what we can do now to fight for what we want, which is to win the Premier League.
When a couple of years ago, when you were going for the Champions League and you lost at Newcastle, I think you were very clear in recognizing what went wrong at that time. How long does it take you basically to find out what you felt went wrong? And when does that process start to kind of take place for you?
Sometimes happens during the game, sometimes a minute after the game, and sometimes a year later. I cannot tell you. And as well, that perspective changes. And sometimes the impression that you have after the game becomes really different after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, looking at it with a little bit of perspective. But certainly, it's something that you have to do because it helps you to learn and to be better and to have better tools to decide better the next time.
Simon, standard.
Yeah, we're talking about sort of replays and minutes players are having. When you hear, Rodri saying, "I need a rest," Pep saying, "Harder than De Bruyne, I've got to come off." Do you worry about sort of length of players' careers and also just the product of football in the future?
Yes, obviously the calendar continues to be more and more demanding, and we have more games, more competition, less rest. We have two options: or we reduce that, or we have more players in the squad. But to be able to do that as well, your financial capacity has to be much better because what you cannot drop is the level. So we have a level that is unbelievable in the Premier League and the teams that are competing, and this cannot be dropped. So we have to find a solution to that. And I think the players have to be listened much more because I think that they are the protagonists.
On the current sort of situation when you've had 2 defeats, people are criticising the team, looking at the squad. What's your sort of message to the players when they're coming under attack like this?
That I'm fully behind them. That thank you so much for the journey that we are together. Thank you so much for being in April and champion for the quarterfinals of the Champions League and being so close. And thank you so much for competing against the best team in the history of the Premier League and the best team in the last 8 years in this competition with Liverpool, and to be there with a chance to win it. So thank you so much for everything that they've done because it's unbelievable.
There's been 2 games now where we've talked about sort of maybe a decline in the second half and the levels of your performances. Just thinking back to what we've been saying already about the sort of the fatigue and the calendar. Do you think that's related to that?
Sometimes the opponent as well. The opponents play and they are very good, and you have to congratulate them when he goes. Sometimes it would be my fault as well not to change anything, not to make the right call. Sometimes they play, they won't have that spark. But what would have happened if we score 2 goals, 3 goals, 4 goals against Aston Villa in the first half, or 2 or 3 against Bayern Munich in the first half, like we did against Brighton, we did before? Who knows? At the end, that the game state is so important in football, and you have to recognize that you can't just isolate a moment to make an evaluation. It's too simplistic.
Do you think maybe sort of when you're needing something right at the end, so for example against Bayern in the latter stages, and maybe you're looking for that extra bit of energy, that extra bit of spark, that maybe some of your key players have played maybe more minutes than other rivals, and do you think maybe that's a part of just why in the latter stages of recent games you've struggled to find something?
I don't know. Obviously, when you look at the schedule that Bayern had and we had, and the amount of game that they play, and they rest 10 players 9 days ago, and they rest 3 days before the game another 9 players, it is different. But in these leagues, they do what they do, which is or they cancel the games or they bring them forward to have more rest for the Champions League. We are not doing that, and we put in even more and more pressure on ourselves. But this is what we have. It's not an excuse. It's the reality.
Should the Premier League do that? Something similar to what is being done?
Well, I think if you want to compete in the same condition, I think we should be able to have at least the same amount of recovery between games. That's at least something that we can do.
Okay, we'll go to 10:30 tonight now. Kick off with Sam from Togo.
Hi.
The